the headlines tonight. 51 years on from the Birmingham Pub Bombings, where 21 people were killed, more than 220 injured, it remains the biggest unsolved mass murder in British history.
People often say, oh, well, it was so long ago, time to move on. But how do you move on from something like that? How do you actually do that?
Today is about remembrance and reflection, but campaigners say they'll never give up on their fight for justice.
Good evening. Today marks 51 years since 21 people died, 220 were injured in the Birmingham Pub Bombings, the result of the two explosions at Mulberry Bush and the Tavern in the Town pubs remains the biggest unsolved mass murder in British history. There's been a day of commemorations in the city, and James Boville joins us now from the memorial in the city centre. A poignant day, James.
Yeah, Mary, it's always an emotional day remembering 21 people who are simply enjoying a night out but who never came home, and 51 years later still no one has successfully been held accountable for the Birmingham Pub Bombings in 1974, and this anniversary comes just a few weeks after the government finally rejected calls for a judge-led public inquiry. So I've been spending the day today speaking to some of those people who are still trying to keep the memory of the 21 alive.
Trapped amongst the rubble of memory, the parasite of pain clings on for eternity. A destructive, deadly device detonates.
51 years on, and the wounds are still deep. Birmingham Cathedral is the focus for remembrance on every anniversary. Today, a commemorative book was handed over to ensure the city never forgets.
Younger generations should remember what happened. People often say, oh, well, it was so long ago, time to move on. But how do you move on from something like that? People can't just write off what happened to their families and the survivors, what happened to them, even though it was 51 years ago now.
People who've suffered from trauma, actually being able to tell your story is a really helpful thing. And having the cathedral, I think today is somewhere that allows people to tell their stories with other people listening and paying attention is the least we can do today.
These are the images that shocked a nation, taken by the late press photographer Niels McGuinness, who was on the scene within minutes of the first bomb.
Well, this is one of the cameras that my grandfather used during the Birmingham Pub Bombings that night.
Today, his grandchildren tell me about the impact that night had on him.
He went to the one pub and then the fireman tapped him on the shoulder to tell him that another bomb had gone off. He walked through what was once the plate glass window, amongst obviously all the dead bodies, which was traumatic for him. He never got over it. My nan said he was never the same again.
To sort of be connected with those families through our grandfather is quite extraordinary to be a part of that.
Last month, the government ruled out a judge-led public inquiry into what happened, saying a body set up to investigate Troubles-era atrocities is the most appropriate recourse. Campaigner Julie Hambleton, whose sister Maxine was killed in the bombings, vehemently disagrees.
Julie, have you come to terms now with perhaps never getting the answers that you want?
No, we will get the answers we want. We continue to fight, and we will fight until our last breath, because those who aren't here right now have no voice. We are their voice.
21 lives lost, a generation scarred, a city still counting the cost of its darkest day.
And the names of the 21 are also etched on the memorial trees behind me as well. The youngest, aged just 16, the oldest was 56. And at 7 o'clock tonight, some of the survivors of the bombings, as well as family members of those who were killed, will come down here to the memorial. They'll have a short service here and they'll read out the names of the 21 who died in 1974. Mary, there's still a great deal of anger amongst some that no one has ever been held accountable for what happened here in 1974, but no matter how hopeless that fight becomes, the fight for justice will certainly continue on.
James Boville, thank you.